All right, what's up, y'all? Y'all already know what it is. It is the Backstage Brawl. You already know who it is. It's your boy, the Golden Child, a.k.a. your boy, JJ Lewis, alongside the People's Champ, Randy Lewis, alongside Diamond Cutter, a.k.a. Eric B. We got Mean Gene. We got Kid Dynamite. And, of course, back for the second week in a row, we got the Chosen One, a.k.a. the Podfather, Carl Coulage.
Brothers, it's a pleasure sharing this platform with you guys. I love you guys and all the discussions we're out there. Special shout out to everybody. Make sure we're staying safe. And with everything going on in this world, it's a great platform for us to sit here and discuss what we love, and that's pro wrestling.
That's a fact. That's a fact. There's a lot of things going on in this world. We saw the bombings that happened like a couple days back. Crazy stuff going on weather-wise here in the Northeast. Crazy stuff going in wrestling, and we're going to get into a lot of that later. But I wanted to start off today with the matchup that we have all been waiting for. Since we pretty much started this podcast along here, we got the Podfather, Carl Coulage, the Chosen One, going head-to-head against Mean Gene, who has been missing in action for a couple weeks, live from his undisclosed location. And we here discussing and bringing out an old topic of which, you know, Randy apparently, quote-unquote, served him a fresh hot L. Now Carl is basically coming in.
I quote-unquote, I served him.
Hey, listen. Put it this way.
What you served, but all right.
Put it this way. If you brought the takeover, Carl is trying to bring the ether. Boys, the floor is yours. Carl, what you got to say to this brother over here?
Let's go,
Losers first.
Okay, fine. All right, let's do it. All right, so Carl, I'm trying to understand what Carl's beef with me is. Like, I made this video about Roman Reigns a few months back when he decided to make his decision about backing out of Mania. I called Roman an unreliable dolt because the fact that this Corona stuff, when all the sports people were canceling their stuff, and this was like late March. All this
March 11th to be exact. The NBA closed down March 11th. Get your facts straight. Go ahead.
Appreciate you, bro. Mid-March. So, like I was saying, they did that, and then you had WWE go to the Performance Center, like, I want to say 10 days before Roman made his decision. My thing is that I told the people is that, first of all, the fact that WWE is going, they actually took this serious enough that they were going to move to the Performance Center. Should have shown Roman Reigns that, okay, maybe I should really be considering backing out of this show. But no, what Roman decided to do was go on for the next 10 days just doing all the segments and shit with Goldberg and all the other stuff until finally the day of Mania shows up. And I think because The Miz got a cold or something, Roman basically panicked, like, oh, no, Vince, I'm not coming, man. I can't do this. Now, my thing, like I said, he chooses to do this. He chooses to back out. And that's his preference. But my thing is that, bro, you should have done this 10 days ago. Don't wait until the day of Mania when they're doing your big match with Goldberg for the Universal Championship and you decide to back out. Back out 10 days before so they can get somebody else, so they don't need to just feed us all this hot garbage with the segments that they were doing on SmackDown. None of this wasting money to promote this match that wasn't even going to happen anyway. Just like, bro, no, don't do that. Back out 10 days before, save us the trouble, and that's not what he did. He chose to be with his fam. He chose to back out. He chose to be with his family, whatever his reason is, yada, 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 yada. My thing, actually, you know what? We'll save that for later. But, Carl, go ahead. Say what you got to say.
First things first. Again, thank you to this Backstage Brawl platform for allowing me to speak my opinions and to cook Gene, as I'm about to do right now. Number one, you can't – I have a problem with you telling someone when is the right time for them. They feel it's best for them to make a decision for their family. Now, at the time WWE decided to go to the Performance Center, was WWE doing testing to make sure that they keep their performers safe? No. Maybe Roman Reigns thought WWE would have taken the proper approach in that 10-day span. So clearly WWE didn't do their part, which is to keep your performers safe. Did they? No. And it took you to make a video to finally realize that WWE wasn't testing. They were just taking temperatures. So clearly Roman gave them 10 days to say, okay, you're going to go to the Performance Center. This thing is out. I want to try and perform. But clearly you're not doing anything that you're supposed to be doing because someone gets sick. So by now I'm saying, wow, okay, someone gets sick within those 10 days. I'm not going to perform and put myself at jeopardy. Kid you not, WWE decided to take a proper approach to keep their wrestlers safe. Roman probably would have decided to stay, but clearly they didn't because why? Miz got sick. You move forward along, other people started getting sick. That means WWE wasn't doing their shit. So why wouldn't I, as a person, realizing what WWE is doing and saying they're not keeping me safe, why would I want to stay knowing that I battle leukemia, I have small kids at home? Why am I going to put myself in that situation and WWE is not doing the very best that they can to ensure that my health is safe? That falls the lie on the client, doesn't it? So you mean to tell me because I decided to make a decision last minute, but Vince is not doing what he's doing to keep me safe, I don't have a right to back out. So you're telling me that your product and your promotion and your money and everything that you do is way more important than my life after I've battled leukemia 2 times, not once, but twice. That's basically what you're saying, is that the fans come before my health. How does that make any sense? You tell me.
All right, because clearly this man didn't care about his life because, like I said, he waited 10 days. The CDC put out information. What Roman said in his video was that he took. Listen, wait. Listen. In Roman's video, he said, and I quote, I did the research. I was doing the research to find about how this whole thing was going. And I said, okay, so you did your research. So let me do my research. I go to the CDC's website. I find out they put this information since March, Carl. The fact that there are certain people with there's certain conditions for people that they should not be around. Like during this COVID-19 thing, they should not be there. They had the obese people. And the one that got to me, the people with pre-existing conditions. Roman Reigns' pre-existing condition is leukemia. The moment, if you said you did your research, so what that should have told you was that you shouldn't have been in there from jump. You should not have gone to the Performance Center. You should have stayed your ass home, be with your kids, be with your family, and don't put us through 10 days of you trying to figure out, once someone sneezes, oh, that's it, I'm done. I'm not coming anymore. No. Leave before then.
But again, you can't tell someone when they feel that they're comfortable. Do you understand that before those 10 days, was Roman feeling comfortable? Because again, WWE was going to a secured location with nobody else there but their performers. Was Vince doing what he was supposed to be doing? Maybe in those 10 days, Roman was deciding that, you know what, let me see what Vince's protocols are going to be to keep us safe. And he didn't feel safe. You don't know what he felt like. During the time before, he probably felt safe enough to work and then realized later on that, you know what, maybe it's not safe for me to work. Why can't someone decide to change their mind? Why can't they do that? That's basically what you're saying, is that someone can't decide to change their mind. Superstars do that all the time. You don't talk about Stone Cold. Stone Cold walked out, and he changed his mind and said he dropped his ball and he went home. Where's your video about that?
That ain't my. Hey, bro,
no,
bro.
but it's nothing. It's being relevant. It's being relevant. How many people paid to go see Stone Cold that Monday Night Raw? And again, Vince wasn't losing any money because there were what? No fans. Were there fans there for him to lose money from because Roman dropped out? No, because people still watch WrestleMania regardless because there were no sports on. So what money was he really losing by Roman deciding not to come on TV?
The promotions that
how much did that cost?
This match.
How much does a promotion cost based off of promotion cost when it compares to losing ticket sales? Did he lose ticket sales? Yes or no? Answer my question. Did he lose ticket sales?
Did they lose ticket sales for this event? Yeah, because not because of him. Not because of him.
Okay, so he didn't lose ticket sales because of Roman Reigns. He didn't lose ticket sales because of that. Did he lose any appearances because of that?
What appearances?
Again, thank you. There were no appearances. So how can he didn't lose any money from that? So you're upset that he lost money about promotions. How much does promotion cost in terms of what? All he had to do was just listen.
Go ahead.
SmackDown, so all he had to do was do what? Change Roman's picture with bronze. Because again, there were no posters released because there were no people around for them to see it. It was only a digital promotion. It was a digital promotion. Again, no, I'm going to talk about what you're saying. Let me talk about what you're saying, though. You're saying that Vince lost money on promotion. What promotion are you going to have in a social distance era when everyone's fucking home? You tell me. You're a comm major and you understand promotions. What promotion were they losing? All you had to do was take Roman's picture and swap it out with bronze. What other promotions did they have?
It's not just about the picture, bro.
But that's what you said. But that's what you just said.
Promo packages.
They have promo packages that you just swipe out. How much money
you know that costs money,
packages?
You know promo packages.
How much did you know so much as it costs? How much? Tell me. How much did you do the research?
Money that we should not have been using at all.
Okay, but how much money did they lose, and how much money does WWE bring for them to swipe out the promotion to keep a guy safe? Roman Reigns is your top guy, and he's telling you, I don't feel safe. Would you rather risking Roman Reigns losing his life because of COVID, or you want to say, you know what, Roman, you can go home and we'll bring you back when this thing dies down?
I'd rather you leave beforehand.
Why? What difference does it make? You're my biggest star. You're my biggest star, and I don't want to jeopardize you losing. What difference does it make when you decide to come back?
During that 10-day span, or technically two SmackDowns in that span, they could have chosen a much different opponent.
Again, remember, you're worried about, listen, you're worried about 2 SmackDowns that were aired social distantly that people didn't care about because it was home. That's what you're worried about. That basically didn't do well. It probably didn't do well in the ratings because, again, there were no fans in the ratings. You're worried about 2 SmackDowns that didn't have any fans.
2 SmackDowns, promo packages, commercials. The fact that we were sitting until the day of Mania that this was going to happen. Literally, the last SmackDown before Mania was when they said that they switched this to Braun.
There goes
they could
the
have done this
problem.
beforehand.
He's upset because Roman Reigns did it last minute. Again, I just broke down his evidence. Promotion didn't cost much because the fans and Vince wasn't losing any money because it's not like fans paid to go see Roman. Everyone was home. Fans didn't pay to go see Roman. No one was in the arenas at SmackDown, so he wasn't losing money there. He wasn't losing money on people signing autographs. And the promotions, in terms of posters, all they had to do was just swipe out Braun's face with the other one. You seem to be the only problem. Listen,
you saying Vince was cool with his decision?
Yes, he had to be.
What else? Why was his name banned on? Why was his name banned on WWE TV for weeks?
Okay, so then is his name back on there now? Are they still talking about him or no?
I have not heard Roman Reigns' name on WWE TV. I've heard it on I've heard it on social media.
Did he get fired?
I've heard it on social media, but I have not heard it on
question.
WWE TV.
Let me ask you a question. Did he get fired? Did Vince release him and enrich him in future?
Fire him for that? I'm not firing him for that.
But again, you said Vince was mad. You said
now,
Vince was mad. I'm going by what you said. Vince is upset, so why not let him go?
Let him go for dude. Just because Vince is mad doesn't mean you let somebody go.
Vince
get mad at a lot of talent. He don't let them go.
Listen. He cost him so much money. Why not let him go?
Did I say it was some? I said money. I didn't say a lot of money. I said it cost him money.
How much money? You still can't answer my question. How much money did it cost him?
Money, Carl.
How much?
Doesn't matter how much.
It does matter how much. It does how much. It does matter because clearly promotions didn't cost much. Because again, he's not losing much. What's WWE's biggest revenue? Through what? Through promotion or no? Answer my question. What's WWE's biggest revenue? Silence, crickets, because he can't answer it. What's WWE's? How does WWE make money?
Ticket sales.
Ticket sales.
Hold on. Got you. T-shirts. Oh, no, actually, no. Wrestling gear. Commercials.
Ticket sales.
TV
ticket sales is the biggest one, right? Okay. Ticket sales. Listen, you said ticket sales, right? Ticket sales is the biggest way WWE makes money. Therefore, WWE not having its Super Bowl did what? They lost all their money, and their biggest amount of money. WWE not having a pay-per-view or having any live show between March 11th and now, which we're in August, leading into SummerSlam, how much money has WWE lost? Do you really believe he's worried about the promotions he lost off of Roman Reigns deciding to cancel? Are you kidding me?
Are
you dumb, stupid, or slow? Pick one.
And then with that, when you're saying about Roman Reigns choosing to back out and doing his decision, you want to tell me then why a few days after that, the boy went online outside with no mask and decided to talk about his reason for backing out? If he cared so much about the whole COVID scare and whatever, why was he outside with no mask?
Gene, we talked to you about that already.
This is coming up.
I can't speak for Roman Reigns. I can't speak. Go ahead, JJ.
Right before we get into it, for one, because you did touch on him canceling out right before Mania. It was a week before Mania, and if any comm major does know, all it does take is half a day to switch it out. That's 1 point. 2, I will say that in regards to the whole promotion of losing stuff, we, as per the quarterly report of the WWE, they actually gained revenue from.
Yeah, because there were no fans, right?
They tripled.
They didn't have to go to like events and stuff.
They saved money on TV production.
That was his main point.
And they have this is the most profitable time for WWE ever because of that, according to their quarterly earnings.
So the notion that basically the revenue, him canceling out, it's null and void. Randy.
Because according to Forbes, last year around this time they only made $10 million. They made over $43 million this year. That's more than triple their investment. In the past year. So Roman didn't even put a dent into what you said they lost in that time. They made a whole lot of money, and plus, it costs money to do house shows and pay-per-views and shows in different areas. So, in fact, Vince basically saved his money by staying pat at the Performance Center. So,
and again, you're not disappointing any fans. The only fan that seems to be disappointed about it is you because he backed out of a main event that you probably were looking forward to seeing.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
Clearly, because you're still upset about it. You're in your feelings about it. That's the real truth.
Hell no. I did not want to see him.
And the other thing I want to say is this, that people don't call you about, is that you had a problem with Roman before this. This just gives you another reason to get at Roman. That's what it really comes down to. You didn't like Roman from the beginning, so the fact that he decided to go home gives you more ammo to add to the fact that you.
Yeah, because of the significance of the match that he was gonna have at Mania.
Hell, if he was fighting
like Cesaro or Shinsuke Nakamura at Mania, I wouldn't give a damn. I'd be like, yeah, go ahead. You want to leave? But you want to do it with this match?
Listen,
this match against this opponent?
Listen, we're dealing with a global pandemic and a man who's had cancer twice. Listen to yourself.
Why was he outside with a video?
There are a lot of things that
I want you to tell me.
Yes. Do you know where he was?
I have an answer for that.
In Pensacola.
Do you know where he? No, but again, no. Specifically, do you know where he was?
In Florida.
No, that's not the answer to my question. Where was he? Do you know where he was?
Carl.
Outside in Florida. What do you need to know?
Wait. We got a hot tag. Kid Ty, what you say?
To your point about Roman, if Roman is conscious enough to get out of harm's way, to do the live, he had to be in a secure area or an area he felt he was safe to do the video. That's one. Two, yes, Florida has a lot of issues. We know that. People meme about it all the time. But I just want to make this point because you're in an undisclosed location that we know where you're at, and you're not wearing a mask.
Yes, sir.
Because there's nobody there. And there was no one shown in Roman's video to our. So there are people here, and you're not wearing a mask.
Yeah, check it out. What's up?
So what's the difference between Roman doing that and you?
Because Roman has a pre-existing condition.
You have an equal amount of chance of getting COVID.
Right, but you don't know where he was.
That's not what the research
Can you prove that he wasn't in the backyard of his house?
Can you prove he wasn't in a place where he felt he was safe enough to not wear a mask in public?
All I know is that he was walking on the street.
You can't prove that.
You don't know he was walking on the street. You only saw his body in the video. How do you know it was the street? How do you know it was in his backyard? How do you know it was in his garage?
Outside noise.
Oh, wait. So
outside noise in his backyard.
Go ahead, what'd you say?
No, can you prove that you're in a safe enough area to do this video with no mask right now?
Oh, I have no idea if I'm safe, bro. I just chose a spot and I'm here.
My point exactly.
What's your point?
the thing is, all right.
I throw the towel. I throw the towel.
This guy doesn't realize what he's doing.
What's your point?
Listen, he can't prove where Roman was. Roman was outside. Do you know if he was in his backyard? He was outside. I heard noise.
He wasn't in his backyard.
How do you know that? Can you prove that? No.
This bro wasn't in his backyard.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
You know damn well he wasn't in his backyard. His
backyard ain't that big.
His backyard ain't that big, but the amount of steps this boy was taking to make a 3-4 minute video.
Do you know that? Do you know where he was? Do you know
where he was? You want me to search up Roman's estate now so I can figure out if he has a backyard that big?
To make a point, yeah, because your points are invalid and they're false. They don't make no sense. You talked about promotion. WWE wasn't losing any money on promotion. How is WWE losing money on promotion when all the promotions were digital? All you have to do is
want to say one thing because, look, if I don't do it, Gene's going to do it. We are running around in circles. I think the audience at this point can discern who's making the more valid points.
Okay, but here's my closing thing. Carl, about Roman Reigns' decision, backing out, doing whatever. Okay, so how about this? Do you agree that he should not come back until COVID is 100% taken care of, until we actually have a vaccine, or until this disease is gone? Do you agree to that?
I think yes and no. I think it's up to the person if they feel comfortable or not, whether they want to do it. You can't tell someone what to do. Me personally, right now, I'm going to tell you right now. You guys know I teach. My job is opening up in the fall. I'm going back to teaching one class, and all my other classes will be online. I can decide whether to go in or tell my boss, listen, I don't feel comfortable. You're going to have to find another class for me to teach that makes me feel comfortable. It's up to that person. I can change I could change my decision last minute. You can't tell someone how to feel. You haven't spoken to Roman's doctors. Maybe his doctors told him, you know what, maybe it could be safe if they have certain things. I don't know. So I can't be one to judge another man on his decisions. That's what I'm trying to make you realize. You can't judge someone off their decisions. How you judging him based off his decision to drop out for your entertainment? His life is at the stakes. His life is at stake here. Someone doesn't feel comfortable. I have to understand that. I have to respect that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when he makes a decision. He could have made his decision the day he started taping. I'm not going on. What are you going to do? You're going to be really mad about him for doing that? In a global pandemic, something we've never dealt before. Okay, so who cares? It's a global pandemic. That's the big picture I don't think you're realizing. We're dealing with a global pandemic. Any decisions that anybody makes, you don't understand people's psyche of dealing with being home. You don't understand someone's dealing psyche of you don't understand what's going through someone's mind. I can't sit here and judge Randy, JJ, the rest of the guys for what's going through their mind. If they decided right now, you know what? I don't feel comfortable doing the show because something happened. Am I going to be here to sit there and judge them and say, well, you ruined the Backstage Brawl show because you decided to close out last minute? That's basically what you're saying right now.
Carl,
that means
know,
if I decided to right now say I'm going to take my stuff and you know what, I don't feel comfortable working with you guys, I'm going home. You're going to judge me right now. No. That's basically what you did to Roman. Yeah, it's exactly what you did to Roman.
Carl, what I know is that if this man shows up,
we don't deal with ifs.
During COVID,
we don't deal with ifs. We deal with facts.
I was waiting for that.
Here's all right. No problem. Roman shows up during COVID, and there's no vaccine. Then I'm gonna call him out again.
So my question is, what if he comes back and he's insured that he is safe at his workplace? Like no vaccine.
That don't mean nothing. Like Carl said, global pandemic. Don't care.
So that means basically you're taking your L. So that means you're taking your L right now.
Listen.
I gave you your L.
WWE could be 100% safe. It don't matter.
I want you to understand, Gene.
Still in the global pandemic. You show up, I'm calling him out again. And I know he'll try to show up. All right, I know he'll try to show up. Because I already seen Kyle O'Reilly show up. It won't be long before Roman shows up. And when he does, Gene, I'm calling him out again.
Gene, listen, I almost broke my wrist trying to come back and answer your question, all right? You going to respect my goddamn
state. Sorry. Go ahead, my bad.
Right. Go sit here and talk to me about some. No, I'm just messing. I get where you're coming from. I get you frustrated. But like we've told you multiple times with this conversation, I think you're being too harsh on a guy who, like, honestly, if you were in his shoes, and you also don't know how much information he knew about the pandemic at the time, because we were also trying to figure out what the hell. This shit is mutating as well, I'll have you know. Like this shit,
though.
You can research as much as you want, but think of it this way. With all the research that they're doing, they still are projecting getting a cure like by mid next year. There's only so much research you can do to protect yourself as is before the vaccine comes out. There's only so much research you can do to create the vaccine. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we're all at fault for certain things. And even if Roman didn't react to your standard of how quick he should have reacted, he reacted fairly quickly considering when they started in general. And he was one of the first people to end up going home in general from this pandemic. Yes, was the time not opportune in terms of when it could have happened, but when is it opportune to save your own life from a global pandemic when your life takes priority over your job? You can't do your job if you're not breathing.
And you know what? On the opposite front,
10 days prior.
No, but listen. On the opposite front.
Yeah, you know what 10 days prior is? 2 weeks notice. That's what it is.
Yes,
2 weeks notice. What do you do when you're leaving a job? You give them 2 weeks notice.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Raw to review.
Mic drop. 2 weeks notice. That's 10 days.
We got
2 weeks notice. Come on, man. Are you kidding me?
Back out in those 10 days.
You give them 2 weeks notice. You give them 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks, and you're complaining.
That's fair enough. Don't come.
I said
I'm telling you, Carl. When he shows up, he gonna try to show up, and when he shows up,
I
can't wait.
2 weeks notice, bro. When you're leaving a job, you give them 2 weeks notice.
Let's go to white flag on this, Gene.
Change the camera 12.
Come on, Gene.
Pan the camera on Big E.
Come on, Gene. You the student. You're supposed to be teaching me, the professor, and I'm still teaching you. Come on, man. Stop it.
God damn, that was a hard burn.
I'm telling you, bro. If he shows up during the midst of COVID,
you're dealing with ifs. He hasn't shown up. He's dealing with ifs. He hasn't showed up.
Yeah.
He wasn't ready.
No sports?
Sorry?
There's no ifs in sports, right?
Yeah, sports entertainment. It counts. Why?
Cool. Making sure.
All right.
I need to get me that shirt.
So you're good at taking your L or nah?
He's not.
About the money thing, I will take that. That I will take. But your thing about that he should have backed out, that he should not have backed. He backed out when he should have. Nah.
He gave him 2 weeks, bro. What do you normally do when you're backing out? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Again, let's compare it to Stone Cold. When Stone Cold took his ball and went home, what did he do? The night before he went home. And then Vince was like, where's Stone Cold?
You got to tell me, because I don't know anything about that.
Okay, Stone Cold decided to take his ball home, and he wasn't going to show up to Monday Night Raw back in 2002 because he wasn't happy with the fact that he had to job to Brock Lesnar, and he didn't show up to the job. And
why? Why would he not be happy about that?
Because he didn't like the way that the storyline was going, so he dropped his ball and went home. Literally, fans paid to see him on Monday Night Raw, and he didn't show up. And I think he didn't show up at King of the Ring either. They had to scrap that qualifying match. He didn't show up. The night before.
To your point about Vince being petty, Vince had Stone Cold's name get roasted and dragged in the mud for months following the situation.
I give you 2 weeks notice. Meanwhile, there are no fans. You're not losing out on ticket sales for me not showing up, and you're upset. Listen to what you're saying. You'd be a horrible businessman. Come on, man.
Nah,
Stop
bro.
You know what?
Nah, bro. Because
horrible.
y'all said it
Be
because
horrible.
y'all asking what would happen if I was in Roman's position, bro. I would have backed out 10 days ago.
Jonathan.
I said that.
Wait.
I would have backed
Wait,
out.
no.
10 days
Hold on
prior.
that thought. Hold on
Yo,
that thought. Let me take out
Yes, sir.
mediator. I'm gonna get to asking questions directly. You said if you're in his position, a person who is like, let's say,
If I had his thing.
if you had some form,
What he's got. If I had what he's got.
what he's got, or something in similar to that, you would
Sure.
have backed out, right?
Yeah, 10 days prior.
Okay. What's to say? You said Kyle O'Reilly, he took a break himself. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you had a guy like Daniel Bryan. I brought this up to you, I don't know, a couple weeks back. He has asthmatic symptoms. His wife just had a baby. He is there.
But I'm pretty sure that's why he left, though, because Bree was having a baby.
But he was still in the company. He performed at Mania with the pre-asthmatic symptoms, which would have rendered him equally as affected as a Roman had he caught the virus. So my question to you is, you said you would have left. Why is there not criticism on a person who was hell-bent on performing as opposed to taking their ball and going home and protecting their family? Like, where's the criticism there?
Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan did work, didn't he?
He worked.
Work WrestleMania.
He worked a month after.
You're undervaluing.
Maybe Roman should have
Here's
worked
my
too,
thing.
Carl.
Gene, listen. My thing is this too. You're undervaluing family. Like, the guy has a family. Like, everyone has a family. If they don't feel comfortable, you can't. Who are we to judge and tell him that he couldn't back out, whether it was 10 days, whether it was 5 days, whether it was 4? Like,
And I'm saying, Carl, and that's fine. For the sake of his family, don't show up until after COVID's been taken care of. For the sake of his family,
He
don't
hasn't
show
shown
up.
up. It's been 4 months. He hasn't shown up yet.
And keep that going, because COVID's not done till 2021. So
That's fine.
we'll see you next year, buddy.
And you know what? Honestly, it doesn't make a difference because, again, what? He's not getting any – is he going to make any extra off pay-per-view money? Probably not, because WWE is losing money because they don't have any fans. They haven't had a live show.
He's doing that cameo thing. That cameo thing.
Come on, man. Stop it. We got to stop, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the Backstage Brawl, we're going to cut to the next segment on the show.
Love you, Carl.
Love you too, man. I'll talk to you guys soon. You guys stay tuned for having me.
All right.
Just make sure you drop this cook job. I'll see you guys next week.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, buddy.
You guys be good.
ASAP is going
All
to
right.
Take it easy.
Man, what a fresh L. Let's shift the gears, baby.
What's up, guys? I'm ready. Biggie, I'm ready for you now.
All right.
Hey, you just ready
One
to
L's
go.
enough.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Get
Go,
into the
go.
SmackDown thing yet.
I ain't taking no
One L's
break.
enough.
Let's go.
Huh?
We didn't get into the SmackDown thing yet.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
But
one
we should have
L's
start off
enough.
with SmackDown since that was first.
It's Wednesday. Let's get to AEW. Let's get to NXT.
Let's see
get
who
to
wins
last
for
week's
tonight.
SmackDown.
Yeah,
Right.
let's
We'll
do
get
that.
Barry.
Let's
Let's
do
go
that.
through
I
everything.
mean,
I said cut to camera 12.
Listen.
Y'all sitting here trying to fight the power and stuff, man. I'm sitting here like, man, you listen, man. Let's
Booker
just.
Barry.
Listen. Just as wacky as this podcast has been, it's been an equally wacky week for professional wrestling. In particular, Raw was weird. It was wild. It was interesting. It was a whole bunch of things. Like, we had, Raw Underground. We had, basically a power outage. We had Drew basically like Ether and Randy Orton. We had,
Like that.
it was a whole bunch of things going on. Like, before we even get into NXT, AEW, and even SmackDown, I wanted to get you guys' quick thoughts on Raw. What was your biggest takeaway? Big E, I'm gonna start with you.
How about shouts out to Shayna Baszler for being on TV 2 weeks in a row now? I think that was my biggest takeaway. I think now they're starting to show a little more faith in Shayna Baszler. I mean, the women's division right now is literally running through Bayley and Sasha. And they're not even splitting up. By this time, we've predicted on the show time and time again that they would have been at least having some type of friction. They're stronger than ever right now. So it's refreshing to see that there's somebody new coming into the ranks. And then another person that we all have been pushing for to see on TV, Bianca Belair, even though she had a backstage segment 2 weeks in a row now.
It was probably one of the best backstage segments that night. So
The night.
all night. The only thing that I didn't like was that they hyped us up for this new stable, and everybody predicted who it might be. Everybody predicted it was going to be Undisputed Era, including myself. And we got hooded guys blowing out a transformer. I didn't know what that was about.
Yeah,
it was weird. And then we got what's the name? We got Fight Club for free on Raw with Raw Underground, and it was good. Don't get me wrong, it was great. The first segment when they debuted it was good, but then when they got to like the second half of it, like towards the end of the show where the Hurt Business showed up, it was just like, the Hurt Business don't really need Raw Underground. They can run roughshod without it. I didn't think they needed it.
Really?
That's just my opinion.
I disagree.
I didn't think they needed it.
Go ahead, People's Champ.
I disagree, brother. And here's why. Because when you're introducing something new, right, and you have guys that are not being used backstage that are part of the, the Raw Underground, like Dalba Kato, which was formerly known as Babatunde. I think when you have someone from the main roster, it kind of creates legitimacy for what you're trying to promote. Now, Raw Underground is a bunch of unknowns, some of them that are on Raw that you mostly use in catering. This is a good opportunity to probably just make the segment legitimate. You need something to kind of advertise it. It's like saying, all right, I'm coming out with a new product. You need a credible face behind a product to sell it. And the Hurt Business has become credible enough as a faction or as a group to kind of sell this new thing. So I thought that was a pretty good, thing that they did. Now it was awkward, but it was a good awkward, and I think that it was good. And the way that, hell, I even got a chance to see Dio Madden again. So it was pretty cool to see all these guys that you haven't seen in a while, or you don't really see on NXT often, or just plants just to come in and just have Fight Club. It was a pretty good opportunity to showcase younger talent, which is basically what we've been clamoring for. And
if any like fans out there really remember, if you've seen Dark Side of the Ring, they had one where I think it was Cornette.
The Brawl for All. The Brawl for All.
The Brawl for All, that's kind of what it reminded me of just a little bit.
It did
the Brawl
too.
For All was a train wreck.
It did too, especially for me. But I don't think it's necessarily just like the Brawl for All. I do think it will give you sentiments of it, but it has its own twist. I do think they'll take better measures this time. It doesn't look like it's like shoot hits like they're doing. I do think they're protecting themselves and the competitors in the ring. So I do think that there's something that's there and could be better on the run. I just hope that it's not micromanaged when it gets traction, and if Shane is the one behind it and running it, let him do it.
The average wrestler nowadays is not just an average wrestler. He's a wrestler, a kickboxer, MMA fighter. So this kind of fits the mold of Raw Underground. I get it. I get it.
Pete, I got you a question. Remember back in the day when Raw used to be on Spike TV and they used to have after Raw was the training session with the UFC with the Shamrock Brothers back in the day?
Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of like how it is with Raw Underground. They have their own, I wouldn't say it's completely MMA, but you're mixing professional wrestling and different fighting styles, and it's on TV and they're scripting it as such. If they do something special with this, I can see it becoming a very good side segment, especially for a third hour of Raw, because that second or third hour really drags. So I think something.
But you know what I would do instead of having it as like a segment on Raw per se? Instead of them doing Raw Talk, because Raw Talk really hasn't been something that anybody's really been talking about, I would replace Raw Talk with Raw Underground. Just something for everybody to watch.
So you put it on the network?
I would put it on the network, like as an after show.
I don't know about that.
It can work both ways, because now we're going into SummerSlam, so it's like you want to utilize your 3 hours, but you want to build your stories going into SummerSlam.
I would say this.
Here's the thing with that. And I'll pass it over to Mean Gene, Dish Soap, aka Kid Ty, and even bounce it back to People's Champ. There is some elements of the Ken Shamrock feel, but I looked at it, and although it kind of was a little cheesy with the dancers and a little, the whole the shots, it did offer some elements of like little bit of hints of Lucha Underground, especially at the very end with the Hurt Business, which is why I kind of like liked it for that element, because
It did. The camera work did remind me of Lucha.
Because here's the thing with that, right? We don't look at it as a match wise. We look at it as one big, compilation of a segment, rolled up into however they recorded. And because of that, what our segments ought to do, they ought to promote the next big star or provide characterization to whatever star that you ought to not be able to provide to. Now, before we came on, I had a conversation with Kid Ty, and we went back and forth. And there's a lot of stars, to your point, who have MMA backgrounds who, can potentially, be built even stronger under this, and they could have matches and could be basically build their character through this. Because although we know Shayna Baszler in NXT, we don't know Shayna Baszler on Monday Night Raw. This could be used to establish a person like that. And furthermore, if we were to bring it back to just the Hurt Business, this can offer an avenue where it's like, MVP, you don't have to win a title. Hell, Bobby Lashley, you don't have to win a title. Shelton, you don't have to win a title. Just be like the CEO of the Raw Underground. Basically, be the leader of that, thing, and then like use it as a storyline to actually find a fourth member of your group. Because again, you still want to put over talent with the Hurt Business, but you don't necessarily want to like destroy the credibility of the Hurt Business. And then like, so what do you give them? You give them Raw Underground. You give other people who are not involved in story, like they're probably going to run the Sasha, Bailey storyline to the ground. So in the meantime, you give the Asukas of the world, the Shayna Baszlers of the world, that avenue to basically be like, we're going to kick ass down here. And imagine like Nia Jax walking down there and just fucking shit up.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna before Ty, I throw it to Ty. I'm gonna say this real quick. This kind of makes me, God, I hate that I'm saying this. This kind of makes me hate that Matt Riddle is on SmackDown.
Hold up now.
Yeah.
You're not letting it marinate. Well, actually, I'm not gonna give it too much, because here's the thing. This is week 1. We know it's gonna be in week 2. We know this is gonna be somewhat of a regular thing. If it's not regular, it's gonna be semi-regular. Like you're gonna see it often enough. And when I was talking to Jay, these are the exact points I was bringing up. The fact that this is very reminiscent of Fight Club. You made mention of the Brawl for All. You made mention of Lion's Den. You made mention of people comparing it to UFC Fight Island. This is very combat, tough, individual oriented. And this is a program that can work to enhance characters. It's a program that can, like, in terms of its potential, and I know we talk about potential a lot of storylines, as random as it came across on TV, and it came across random as hell, because what is Shane doing coming back? But the point being,
in the
if we're gonna have pause. The point being that if you're gonna have this and you're gonna run with it, let's make the most out of it. We brought up let's talk about the Hurt Business a little bit more extensively. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin both have combat backgrounds in the sense that Lashley is a former MMA fighter. He's a legitimate wrestler. The fact that he is big as he is, in terms of his presence, he already looks like somebody you don't want to fight in a bar. Now you're fighting in an underground area where it's like, he's the big boss. You have somebody like Bobby Lashley, assuming MVP were to buy the underground from Shane or strike a deal with Shane, which would help characterize the Hurt Business as the business half of it. That's the business part being characterized and getting some more, love. Now the Hurt part is, let's say Lashley's down there and he's like Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender, when we first come across Toph in the underground beating up people and she's a champion. Let's say Lashley right now, he's the king of the underground. Everybody's coming up and stepping up to him, trying to see if they can knock him off his pedestal. And Lashley's whooping ass every and every direction on an old, Nintendo 64 controller. Your man is knocking this guy or girl. That's another thing I'll get into. The fact that this is a place where people who you want to build as tough characters, whether they have a combat background or not. You brought up Babatunde, right? I think the Viking Raiders are also on this.
Mm-hmm.
Eric.
In this, Dolph has a combat background too. Listen, I know his character on TV doesn't really warrant it, but still, in terms of credentials, he's still can be here. You know, you want to build these tough characters. You could have them be in the underground. I pitched the idea to Jay in that same conversation saying this would be a great way to also help the 24/7 championship. Because Randy, the previous week, brought up the fact that the 24/7 championship can be akin to a television title. The fact that it's defended constantly. Because the main thing is the 24/7 championship is defended consistently week in and week out in the wackiest of ways. Imagine they took the 24/7 championship and you combine the underground concept with the television title concept of defending it consistently on TV. You have it become the King of the Underground championship, where the person holding it is the top dog in the underground. You give that shit to Lashley or Shelton, and they're messing fools up in the underground. Now you've just made this underground thing its own entity. Now it feels like it's really a fight club because now there's something to fight about more than just getting off on beating somebody down. So as far as I'm concerned,
saying stay right there.
and that's well, okay. Listen, man. Take me seriously despite the way I'm wearing my hat, all right, and what I say. I'm telling you right now, this is a good idea. You gotta hear me out here. But you see, like Lashley being the King of the Underground, having a 24/7 championship remade, maybe beat it up, made it look, it's kind of sort of like the hardcore championship, since it's kind of like that already. This beat up ass belt, but it means something because these segments are all about characterization. You got all these tough dudes beating each other up. Everybody's gonna look good. We're gonna have this Def Jam type feel underneath with the underground where everyone's beating each other up for this gold. It means something because now it's all about your toughness. You don't have to be the best wrestler. You just have to have the most durability or the most heart to survive. And then on top of that, it doesn't just have to be for the hurt business. It could be a way to recruit people for the hurt business in the sense that MVP could find people who are tough in the underground and be like, I want to add them to my group. I like what that man got in this book. We're going to add that to the hurt business. You could have somebody like Shayna Baszler come in and be a woman busting dudes up in the underground and getting her credibility back, considering there ain't no reason to watch her on TV other than to see on some Carmen Sandiego type mess if she showed up. You got Shayna Baszler beating up like people twice her size in there, showing off her legitimacy as a fighter. That's going to immediately catch attention, especially with the controversies happening right now. I recently saw on Twitter Kylie Ray talking about how, people are upset about not interracial, good lord, talking about some intergender fighting.
Wow. I mean,
and hey, listen, I steered it back now. Intergender fighting. People are upset about intergender fighting because they feel like it's not
everybody.
All right. But everybody's upset about intergender fighting because some people don't see it as legitimate. Other people say you shouldn't discriminate against them because of their sex organs. They're wrestlers at the end of the day. The Underground's a perfect way to blur those lines and have somebody with like an Asuka or a Shayna Baszler regroup down there too.
And if nothing else, if you want to bring up the whole Shayna Baszler thing, and if she were to face like a man and beat down people, it'll be something to subtly bring up the Shayna versus Becky feud if that were to be revisited.
That is
because
also
it's like, yo, who's really the man right now?
And on
like,
top
you
of
talk
that,
it, I legit walk it. I will whoop this dude's ass. So
and on top of that, that's not the only. You not only will help you build new characters, but also rejuvenate characters in the case of Shayna. But we brought up another thing. Gene brought up the fact that not Gene. Well, this Gene down here, Gene Lewis. He brought up the fact that, no offense, Gene over there as well. Listen, I like your part. My point being, he brought up the fact, what if you use it for other characters that need a lift too? Shayna needs a lift. What about if Samoa Joe decides, I'm not going to come back to the ring first. I'm going to go to the underground and bust people up on some, like, you don't want to mess with Joe at the bar type mess, too.
Oh, God. If Joe was ever to step in the underground,
he hinted at it already.
But you see the possibilities. A guy like Matt Riddle going into the underground with his nonchalant attitude mixed with the griminess of the underground, he'd be like, bro. And you don't take him seriously at first for the people who don't know who he is. But the minute he starts showing out in that underground, you're going to be like, oh, so that's why he's like that. He can whoop everybody's ass.
Ty, actually, one quick question.
What's up?
No, it's not going to happen. But what if out of nowhere,
oh, no.
Rock come out of nowhere and just destroys everybody? Like, word to Kumite, a.k.a. Bloodsport, come out like tongue po and kill everybody. What happens?
Now, if you have Brock Lesnar come in, he fits that to a T. Paul Heyman being a hype guy, Paul Heyman being like, those old like boxing like movies where they have you want to be a fighter, you want to be the champ. Like, you got Paul Heyman on the mic like that. There's so many, and if Brock were to come down, that's a perfect way to have Lashley and him face off for the first time. Or if you wanted to be the last time.
I was gonna say that was gonna be some real good promotion right there.
And if you want the King of the Underground champion, seriously, take this 24/7 title and put it down here. It's already a beat up ass belt. Bring it down to the Underground. Give him a reason to fight. Make this something else. Because at the end of the day, you stumbled upon an idea with a lot of potential to build a lot more characters than just your combat-oriented characters. We saw Dio Madden. We saw Babatunde. I know people are thinking about Timothy Thatcher and Karrion Kross, and that goes without question. We know they're going to show up, right? We know they're going to wreck things, right? We know Samoa Joe can wreck this. Shayna got this. Asuka do this. We know. But there are even more people that you can build. If I see Bobby Fish or Kyle O'Reilly pull up in this Raw Underground,
oh God, I'm gonna lose my mind.
See Aleister Black pull up in this Underground,
losing my mind.
Yeah, and you know, and you see, and I know this was a good idea. You gotta listen to Dish Soap, because Eric, you lean forward into your camera, which means I can tell you're interested, which means I've done my job.
He's
and you didn't want to take me seriously because I was talking about some interracial in this hat. I'll tell you something, man. I'm telling you, man.
Pass it to me,
yeah. Michi, what you think about this, man? Make some sense out of it.
Bro, I'm gonna just say this initially, man. I was not a fan of this Raw Underground idea. I hated it. I said, please bring back Paul Heyman. I want to see this shit. But then, Ty, see, this is why I love when you're here, man. When we do these debates,
he's always here.
You got to be. I know, not all the time, but when he is here, bro, you just like, you know how to make my mind go completely. Because I'm like, yo, this man's talking about Brock Lesnar coming down, which what I was thinking about. I was thinking about, like, when I said to myself, usually I'm looking at it, it's like, all right, yo, F this shit. But then let's really think about this. The Hurt Business being down there. This could potentially be something for Lashley right here. Like you were saying earlier, you build up Lashley as this, tough SOB. And then let's say all of a sudden the doors bust open and who was that? Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar. He's like, yo, I just found out about this Raw Underground shit. I want to see what this thing's all about. And he starts busting up people, and then Bobby Lashley's just standing in the ring like, yo, what? All right there, you get like Brock versus Bobby, which is what my thing was. I said, if we're gonna do this thing should be centered for Bobby Lashley to eventually get in there with Brock Lesnar, because Bobby Lashley, as good as he is, the storylines that they have been giving him aside pre Drew McIntyre were absolute garbage. Like, we weren't here for this. Like that thing with him, Lana, and Rusev, I was done with that. Like first 2 weeks, man. I was not with that. I was like, Bobby Lashley is a tough SOB. He should not be wasting his time doing this nonsense. And then, of course, you do the Drew McIntyre stuff. Thank Paul Heyman for this. This man made Bobby Lashley like a legit threat against Drew McIntyre. I'm not even going to hold you. There was part of me that was thinking, yo, if Bobby Lashley gets this title from Drew McIntyre, I would not be disappointed right now, because they were booking this man like really good. And then now I'm looking at it and I'm like, yo, bro, this man said Kyle O'Reilly. This man said Bobby Fish. This man said Matt Riddle. I was like, yo, the potential of this thing can be really, really good.
Matt Riddle,
like, he's got
Bobby
me
Fish,
mouth-watering thinking about this thing right now.
Bro, these are the combat-oriented people. This is just the people who got combat. Imagine we get some big-ass people. Like, I brought up Babatunde. Here's my closing statement on this. Whether you're combat-oriented or not, this is an area for tough-ass people to show why they're badass. This, if they were to run with it right, which we still got to see, right? Because it's only week 1. But in terms of potential, this is the Lazarus pit of pro wrestling. This is a rejuvenation center. This is a rejuvenation center, and right next door is a fight club.
Yeah, like if we're talking about people that can be like top guys, you got the Lasleys. Hell, Samoa Joe. Like, I was thinking that literally the week when they did this. I said, yo, if Samoa Joe went down here, I'd already be sold. Because I know this man's tough. We all know this. He proves it. Even when he's on commentary, he proves it. Seth Rollins tries to press this man. He said, I wish you would, bitch. I wish you would.
Let's not talk about the Messiah now.
We gotta. Yeah.
Your boy was causing problems last week.
We don't talk about Fight Club. We also don't talk about no Messiah now. We can't say.
That was good. Eric ain't wearing the shirt.
Like watching Samoa Joe just tease getting back in the ring. I said, yo, please, I'm ready for this, man. Do it.
By the way,
I said, shit, they're not doing it.
By the way, shouts out to Dominic Mysterio, basically just trying to go off. He just going off. We gonna see him at SummerSlam. More power.
I'm not gonna hold you, man. I want to see, like, I know Seth Rollins likes to pride himself being one of the best wrestlers on the planet, yada yada. If he can pull off a good to great match with Dominic. You know, I'm gonna have to put him up there in the top 5s currently right now because, bro, Dominic is fresh. That boy's a rookie. Like he can move. I give him that. He's pretty okay with what he's doing. Yes, if bro, I have not seen Seth Rollins with average to below average opponents. Okay, the only person I've ever seen Seth Rollins go with in the ring that's like average below average and actually had managed to pull off a good match with him was Mojo Rawley. That was the only one. I saw that. If you've seen that match on Raw, that was a pretty good match.
All right, hold up. Let me tell you something right now. Let me
go ahead, Tom. Listen.
I'm gonna be real with y'all. Look, I am the only Mojo Rawley fan here. Okay, I understand that. But Mojo, when he's given opportunities to go in on stuff, he delivers. And I'm tired of the look. Just because in a company where giving somebody a chance is a filler spot that will result in nothing, I think it's kind of unfair to sell Mojo short because in the moments that he has proven he can do something, he's done some things. Like, granted, he had a wacky gimmick before, but have you heard this man talk? Like, seriously talk? Like, when he speaks seriously, dropping playboys, he's got all the swagger in the world, all the neck rolls. He gets a chance to actually wrestle. He does some things. And now on top of that, when he had that psychotic, I got this broken glass gimmick type thing, he was actually doing well with it before WWE decided to can it in terms of the segments and whatnot. I know he ain't numero uno, but look, a lot of the people that I like have been from the underground. I've seen a lot of mid-card talents that could have made them some money. And they threw that money off the table, threw it in the incinerator, put a burnt cigarette on it, and burned it like Heath Ledger, man. You don't know. What if Mojo ends up in that goddamn fight pit, Raw underground type thing, and start messing people up?
That's a fact. But, hey, listen. We have to see. We got to keep it pushing, though. We have, whatchamacallit, NXT AEW there. It's on tonight. Real quick, before we even get into the next segment of SmackDown, because I know Big E and Mean Gene, they got something to talk about that. What is going to be the must-watch of the night? AEW, headlined by Moxley versus your boy Darby Allin for AEW Championship. And, of course, NXT always delivering. What is the much-watch of the night? People's Champ, what say you?
I'm actually interested in the Darby Allin and Jon Moxley match because Darby Allin is basically the antithesis of Jeff Hardy for their company. And, I've been a proponent. As much as I love Moxley as a person and as a performer, someone's got to take the title off him. I know they're not going to do it tonight. I know that's not going to be, the situation, but I think tonight's a great showcase match for Darby Allin. I mean, this can help him, be one of those guys that they continue to build as one of their top homegrown stars. I know eventually it's going to lead to Cage and Moxley too. So, but I'm pretty sure that tonight will be a really, really good match. Both guys will, bring the best out of each other, especially for Allin. I'm ready to see what happens. Scorpio Sky last week starts to make a claim for himself as a star to basically step out his own shadow and do something really, really good outside of SCU. I'm really interested in seeing that because he's one of the most talented guys that's in the company. We get a chance to see a new Matt Hardy tonight for a guy that's had many faces in professional wrestling. This is a pretty interesting situation to see what side of him will he create tonight and what he'll bring to AEW, especially against the Spanish guy, Sammy Guevara. I think there's a lot of potential with AEW tonight. Of course, MJF, who last week kind of made the rallying cry.
Fire promo.
Fire.
Just want to put that out there.
Fuego.
He was like, bump y'all playing my music. I'm gonna still say what I gotta say. I ain't gonna blow smoke on my ass.
In straight Burberry, basically planted his flag saying, "I'm about this. I'm about the black and gold brand, and I'm about this. I'm gonna be,
So AEW, man, AEW, most def. Shout out to Team 96 with my boy MJF. Eric B, what you say?
Everything my partner just said. AEW. Listen, MJF is on fire right now. He blew up social media with his presidential promo, and I believe it's penciled in for All Out that it's going to be Moxley versus MJF. I believe it's penciled in. This is the time, if anything, because if nobody knows, New Japan is doing this whole IWGP US tournament.
Yep.
So Moxley has other obligations in Japan soon. They're going to have to take that title off him.
Mm-hmm.
So the best person to put it on, I know they should have pulled the trigger on Cage, but if it means they're going to pull the trigger on MJF, I'd rather them do that. So I'm very interested to see what they're going to do tonight in AEW. AEW all the way.
A lot of storyline sense being made with MJF being the next person to take it off, most def. Mean Gene, what say you, man?
You know me, man. I'm biased. WWE all the way, so I'm gonna be watching NXT. We got some good stuff. I know y'all got Moxley versus Darby Allin. We got on NXT, since y'all not gonna say what we got over there. What show we got? We got Imperium versus the Undisputed Era for the Tag Team Championships. We got Bronson Reed versus Shane Thorne. We got Keith Lee versus Cameron Grimes. We got Rhea Ripley versus Dakota Kai, #1 contender. And we got Oney Lorcan versus Damian Priest versus that Rich Holland guy, who I'm actually interested to see what this guy's all about, given watching his promo package in this qualifying match for the NXT North American Championship ladder match. We're going to get that done. But when it comes to AEW, you guys know I don't watch the show much. But when the discussions I do have with some people who do watch the show, I've always said, like even when Moxley's title reign first started, I said, when they showed me the people who was there, like, yo, who's this? And I said, guys, if I'm picking one person to take the title off of him, it was going to be MJF. Even before the whole promo thing that he did. I just looked at this guy and I said, bro, there's just something about this guy that if you get out of, maybe it's just, again, this is just me, outside man looking in. I just said, when I saw this guy, what he's all about, his shtick, and I know sometimes he says some really shitty things, like when he called Shawn Michaels a bum on the internet, but we're going to leave that alone. But other than that, I look at this guy, I see him, he's got all the tools to be the top heel, to be the title, to take the title off of Moxley. So if it happens at All Out, I'll be cool with that, because I said this guy should be the man to take the title. But you know me, man, NXT, that's what I'm watching. Ty, what you got?
The more I look at myself in this camera, the more I feel like Andre 3000. As far as this Wednesday goes, it's interesting on both ends. I believe isn't tonight Dakota Kai versus Rhea Ripley.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number contendership.
That's starting tonight. That match is starting tonight.
And that's gonna be interesting. That hand motion could be taken the wrong way, Jay. We're in a PC culture now.
I know. I just want to know which one.
I think there's something to watch on either. I'm not like when it comes to me with these shows, I always am more interested of seeing what both do. I usually don't pick a side unless it's something heavy. But I will say in terms of AEW has a lot of intrigue just off of that one match alone. We've said it for a while. Even though we're happy for Jon Moxley, he's in an environment where he can be more of himself, he still feels very much like Dean Ambrose, just a little bit more freedom on the microphone. And if there's anybody that I think that can help make him more interesting even for one more week, I love the guy. But I think Darby Allin can be that person in terms of like just even a regular match that teeters on the edge of extreme or whatever they plan to do tonight. Darby's the perfect person to give Moxley a jolt. Considering Moxley's extreme background, he's the perfect person to give the rub to Allin to add to his credibility as an overall competitor. You made the allusion to Jeff Hardy. It's sort of like Jeff Hardy and Spike Dudley in a weird mix combined together. But both guys had a reputation for being tough, taking risks, and not backing down. So if that helps out Darby Allin to build that reputation he's already been building, so be it. In terms of MJF, I agree with Gene. I've been saying it for a while that I think MJF is, in a personality-wise, for the people who don't watch AEW, if you're convinced that you want to watch just off that promo, it's sort of like everyone compares him to The Miz. I also see a lot of the Adam Cole dynamic in more ways than one with MJF and Adam Cole, where,
he's also
brought up EC3. But I use Adam Cole because in terms of stature, attitude, being able to hold your own on the microphone and still feel like a big star despite the fact that so much is working against you. And he's very young, as he said, 96. MJF, honestly, like when he said he could be the next champion for X amount of years, I think it was like 20-something years or 15 years, he really can do that. And with his style and his selling ability, there isn't a better candidate to take the belt off of Moxley. I think that Moxley needs to kind of regroup and reset certain things about him. I prefer Moxley more in Japan than I do in AEW, especially when he started donning like the eye patch and everything. So I think that Moxley needs a little bit of, I think a little bit more. He needs to take a step back and think about other ways to kind of develop himself and try other things maybe he couldn't do in WWE. I think that MJF being the champion and being this smarmy, weaselish champion is great, especially if they eventually want to come back to Hangman Page being the person to finally be coronated as champion. There's no better heel to take it off of than MJF. You could have said Jericho, that's true. But they're obviously not going to go back to that dynamic, so MJF would be the next best person, and both people get something out of it. In terms of NXT, I'm watching the Women's Championship match tonight. I want to see who Io gets to fight. I have a feeling it's going to be Dakota Kai, and that dynamic's going to be interesting because their past history and the fact that Dakota's on a mean streak right now.
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah, most def.
Let's get it.
Just keeping it pushing. Since we don't have a lot of time, we got SmackDown on the men. You know, we already know what it is. Just like Raw, a lot of things going on with that. What are you guys looking forward to? Actually, what are you guys, yourself, Mean Gene, and yourself, Big E? Because you guys were talking about Alexa, a little something with Alexa. The floor is yours.
So I'm gonna give the background story first, the quick background story.
Yeah.
So for the fans out there, if you don't know by now, which you've probably been living under a rock if you don't know, at Extreme Rules, Alexa had a cameo during the Swamp match where she can be presumed to be Sister Abigail because her and Braun were mixed tag partners, and that was a way to lure Braun into, coming to the Swamp. So in our wrestle chat that we have, our Backstage Brawl chat,
Here.
Gene was excited because Gene felt that Alexa was revealed as Sister Abigail. I told him it was a one-off thing. Many weeks, we're 2 weeks removed from Extreme Rules, 2-3 weeks. 2-3 weeks later, we see the title match between Nikki Cross and Bayley.
Good match.
And Nikki Cross leave. Very good match. I think that Nikki Cross is probably the most improved female wrestler of the year. But anyway, once she left the ring and pushed Alexa, the Fiend shows up. And the Fiend is hesitant at first and then gives her the mandible claw. Whether it's most people are arguing online now if it's the hurt or the heel hand. I believe it's the heel hand. I could be wrong, but that can be taken either way. So the debate here is this. Potentially, could Alexa be Sister Abigail? I say no, and this is why I said there's no right or wrong answer right now. There's no right or wrong answer right now because, one, we have to see what's going to happen this Friday. That's number one. Number two, we have to see if Braun shows up because Braun has not shown up since Extreme Rules. That's another thing. And the third thing, on top of that, where I said there's no yes or no, there's no right or wrong answer, is she going to play a factor in the Universal title match? That's the next thing. Because we don't know where it's going with this. Because remember, Wyatt is no longer the original OG Bray Wyatt that we all know. So it's like, what's the point in bringing back Sister Abigail if he's this Mr. Rogers sweater wearing, but then he's the Fiend type guy? Unless you're going to have Alexa do the same thing. And then she still wouldn't even be Sister Abigail. It would just be Alexa basically being a carbon copy of Bray Wyatt, of what he is now. There is no Sister Abigail, so to say.
Good tie. You got something before we pass it over to Mean Gene.
I'm going to say it pretty briefly.
Go ahead.
Now, there are a lot of different ways this can go. I will say in terms of a Sister Abigail meets Fiend dynamic, it isn't as far-fetched as you think. Because if you remember, I don't know if people have seen analysis videos or even remember the promo, the Fiend was foreshadowed a couple years ago when Bray was in his OG Wyatt type state, right? Talking about a man in the woods with like this monster in the woods with blonde hair, the piercing eyes. So, I mean, it still can be part of the lore of the old swamp god Bray Wyatt. I will say that, because I remember when is either the predictions or what, we were making predictions, and I said that I felt that this match at the match that happened recently between the two in the swamp was done more so Bray could embarrass Braun to prompt a third match, right? if you think about it, Braun doesn't have reason to, like, he lost, but it wasn't a real match. If anything, Braun could just move on from it. Like, he could walk it off and do something else if you think about it. I feel like this is prompting Braun to give him what the Fiend wants. What the Fiend wants is his championship back. That's what he's been fiending for, no pun intended, for a while. So you always have that as a possibility as well. I think it was more so an allusion to the fact that, along with Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss for years has been rumored to be the person they would use as Sister Abigail. I know Paige was once at a time pictured to be that person, Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan. So I think it was more so them alluding to the fact it's like, yeah, we know. We know. And it also fits storyline-wise well with Braun because Alexa is very much a part of the new Braun Strowman that we come to know as well. The other factor that makes it interesting for me is, what about Nikki Cross? Does Nikki Cross get involved in this storyline? Because if Alexa's being tied to this directly, Nikki Cross, in theory, could be a part of the story, and she could even be Sister Abigail or become the new Sister Abigail, considering, Orton burned that shit a couple years ago. But I'm just saying, like, if Bray wanted an accomplice, who better than Nikki Cross, who's notorious for being insane enough to be manipulated in any fashion, considering she was with Sanity for so long. You know what I mean? So, like, you're right. There is no right or wrong answer. I think that's what makes it kind of interesting. It's also kind of scary because you don't know how they're going to book it, but there's a lot of different branches on this story you could go through.
So basically, okay, because now you opened up another avenue now. So basically, you could also say that, like I said, no right or wrong answer here. You could also say that Bray went after Alexa to kind of bring out another side of Nikki. You could say that.
You could also say that Nikki, by circumstance, might find an advantage being aligned with Bray Wyatt.
Right. Because what's Nikki's goal right now? Nikki's goal is the SmackDown Women's title, which right now she's probably the only person on that roster that's ready. To be honest with you, they're not really pushing anybody else. They're trying to do Naomi. Lacey is nowhere to be found. Who else is on that?
That's pretty much it, honestly.
That's pretty much it.
I want to get Mean Gene on this because you guys did have that tit for tat.
It was originally Mean Gene.
I think Kid Ty was on a similar wavelength to Mean Gene. Mean Gene, the floor is yours, man.
Yeah, what I was saying is that I just wanted Biggie to admit that I was right because I told him. I told him at Extreme when he told me about the Extreme Rules thing. I said, bro, this ain't no one-off. You can't just have Alexa Bliss do this and not use her anymore. And then we go to SmackDown and we see what the Fiend did to Alexa Bliss. And I said, I was cheering. I was like, yeah, I know it's kind of sick. It's like, bro, you're literally cheering a man suffocating a woman in the ring. But it's like, bro, because I was waiting. And Big E knows when it happened, he was the first person I texted in the chat. I said, yo, Big E, what's good? Sister Alexa, though, what's going on? All right. So I was very happy to see that. And I said that
I won't admit that you're right until I'll give this storyline right before SummerSlam.
He wants to
I'll give it to the day of SummerSlam. I'll give it to the day of SummerSlam because what they could do with this, if they book it right, if they write Alexa off TV up until SummerSlam and she gets involved in that match and she has some type of Sister Abigail-esque character towards her, I will admit on the prediction show, not even on the prediction show, on the result show, I will admit that you are right, man.
Okay, because you see, my thing was the reason why it's fine. But the reason why I wanted Alexa Bliss in this is because I needed Braun Strowman to have a motivation to want to fight because we know what the Fiend wants. The Fiend wants the Universal Championship. But like Ty said, like Braun does not really have a reason to give this man a championship match. Like, for what? Like, I beat you already at Money in the Bank. Granted, it wasn't you. It was Firefly Funhouse you. But I still beat you. So technically, I don't owe you shit. But then you add the Fiend choking out Alexa Bliss. And we know, like, if there's a one person in WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, 205, like, whatever. If there's one person that if you come after them, Braun is going to get pissed. It's Alexa Bliss. And that's because of the team Little Big thing. So I watch
more than just Team Little Big, I'll tell you that.
Exactly, and I just I know, and they're good friends outside the ring. I've seen the videos.
No, not that. No, I mean this is okay. What the hell are you trying to insinuate, man?
This is PG.
Bro, what?
Listen, we got. Let's have Mean Gene make his point.
But anyway,
we cutting close. Come on.
But I'm saying, like, for me, it's like I need a motivation for Braun Strowman to want to go in there and beat the brakes off of the Fiend, because we know the Fiend's gonna come in there. He wants to beat the brakes off of Strowman. 1, for the Universal title, and 2, because Firefly Funhouse Bay tried to recruit him back, and he just said no. So the Fiend is just like, F this shit, man. I'm just gonna kill you, and I'm just gonna take that title while I'm doing it. And Braun Strowman now he's got a reason to want to fight the Fiend. He's like, yo, you heard Alexa Bliss. Now I will give you the championship match at SummerSlam, but that's because I want to beat your ass at that event. Now, like Ty was saying, there are different scenarios they could have do with this. One scenario would be that Alexa Bliss cost Braun Strowman the Universal Championship at SummerSlam. Like, she could come back, like, if what Big E said, let's say the Fiend used the heel hand on her to basically revert her back to her heel shtick. So she comes out, Braun Strowman's like, yo, what are you doing here? You know, everything's good. Then all of a sudden she distracts him long enough for the Fiend to put the mandible claw on him, suffocate him, bam, Universal Championship. And Braun Strowman is no longer Universal Champion. Alexa Bliss finally turns heel again. And my shtick is that Braun Strowman, this devastating loss that happens to him losing the Universal Championship, him losing Alexa Bliss to this guy, and just, like, let's say he even takes some more L's down the road after we're done with SummerSlam. He just goes back to Monster Braun, because I just want to see Monster Braun again. I'm tired of seeing Babyface Braun. I like Braun. Babyface Braun is okay, but Monster Braun was better. I liked him better when he was destroying shit on a weekly basis. Like, his feud with Roman Reigns is masterpiece, absolute masterpiece. And even after that, with the Miz shtick, and even when he flipped up Vince McMahon's limo, like that, the Braun Strowman I want to see. I don't want to see Babyface Braun Strowman anymore. I want to see Monster Braun, and I'm hoping the Fiend can revert him back like he's done with so many others, with Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, Finn Balor. If he can turn Braun Strowman back to Monster Braun, I'm cool with this. Nikki Cross.
I have a question about that.
Go ahead.
If you wanted Braun Strowman to be back to his heel ways back, pre-2016, or even a mix of 2016 and him and the Wyatt family, would you have it be a situation where Bray uses Alexa Bliss as a bargaining chip, like, Braun, either give in to me or I hurt her?
No, I don't think he uses her as a bargaining chip. I say Alexa Bliss comes out. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to use her as, like, oh, yo, give this up.
I'm saying, like, in a similar sense to how he got Daniel Bryan to join the Wyatt family. Would Bray be able to make Braun rejoin his side in a sense?
I think we've been past that, man. I think the Fiend just wants to kill Braun and just take that title. I think he's done playing games with this man, trying to get it, because tried to do the thing at Money in the Bank, didn't work. Tried to do it at this hill, even at the swamp fight, to bring him home. Braun Strowman's probably gonna get out of that swamp at some point. I don't know what he's still doing down there, but he's gonna get out there at some point. And when he comes back, probably this week or next week, we're gonna get to this point. We just got two dudes who just now, for their sole purpose is just to beat the hell out of each other.
This is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. There's so many, like, in terms of this whole storyline with just the 4 individuals as a possibility, there's so many different ways you can go about it. Like, this is why I hope WWE does not fuck this up, because there are like 8 different avenues you could go with this story alone.
Yeah, but I didn't even factor Nikki Cross in until you actually said it. I was just like, Nikki Cross wasn't even in my thoughts when I was thinking about this. But now I hear you talking. I'm like, you know what? Nikki Cross, we might have something to do with you, because this feud right now that we've got with Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt, like, I'll admit it, it was kind of iffy at first. Honestly, I still say this thing should have got only 2 pay-per-views, but we're going to get a third one out of it. I said it should have been just Extreme Rules and SummerSlam. Money in the Bank, Braun Strowman could have faced somebody else, like a Shinsuke or Cesaro, and then we move on to Bray Wyatt, who was actually going to take the title off of him. But that's not what they did. They're going to give us 3 pay-per-views to this, which, you know what, I'm cool. It's a slow burn thing, but now we're going to really pick this up, because we got SummerSlam, and we're going to really pick this feud up to the point where now we got these 2 dudes just want to destroy each other.
And you know what? That's honestly something worth looking forward to, because, again, endless possibilities. That's definitely something that I'm going to look forward to SmackDown. And I think that's a good thing to table it off of. I will say, shouts out to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and $7 Productions for basically signing Ben and getting the XFL. Shouts out to him. Shouts out to Danny Garcia.
Welcome, Vince.
First of all, shout out to Danny Garcia being the first woman of color to own a professional sports league. Shout out to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson being the Afro-Samoan owning the sports league, and to their partners that purchased XFL. So we can't wait with this.
Definitely. Vince, the invasion literally just happened, and instead of Shane, you get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
It's all fun and games until Stone Cold shows up and starts stunnering everybody.
And that's a fact. On that note, Golden Child, People's Champ, Mean Gene, Diamond Cutter, Kid Ty, And of course, we had the chosen one earlier.